runga ki te whenua whakaro pai ki ngā tangata te hei Māori ora. Te whare e tūnei, te marae, e hora nei, tēnā koutou, tēnā kōrua. Ko Josh Williams tāku ingoa, ko tāku mahi te kotahitanga whakangungu ahumahi. I'm Josh Williams, I'm Chief Executive of the Industry Training Federation. And it's my real pleasure this afternoon to give my short speech, because I'm saving my long one for the stakeholder function, because I understand you like long speeches at your stakeholder function. But look, it is my pleasure. My main job this afternoon is really just to hand over to the three employers and one guru that I have on the stools to my left. And they're up on stools, kind of dangerously precarious, but it means that you can see them. Let me tell you their names. Lance Warmington is plant manager at Silver Fern Farms in Dargaville, who have embarked on an employer-led workplace literacy program, which is a significant new partnership between primary ITO and Silver Fern Farms. Kate Lyon is the people development manager for Carter Holt Harvey, one of our real iconic companies in New Zealand. Carter Holt Harvey runs the Cutting Edge Operators employer-led workplace literacy program. It's delivered by the Learning Wave with a literacy, numeracy and a business outcome focus. Our third speaker will be Mark Wootton. He's the National Manager of Amida Training, which is connected with Pacific Home Care, which is one of New Zealand's very large home health care, home-based care providers. And it involves a face-to-face delivery model supplemented with a mentor system. I'll let them tell their own stories. And Alkema, for anyone who doesn't know, works for me some of the time at the Industry Training Federation as our Research and Evaluation Manager for the Skills Highway program. So the other thing that I get to do is just do a little bit of scene setting at the outset. So I hope you will bear with me on that. And I'm really conscious that actually I'm talking to the army. When it comes to workplace literacy, it's probably the bit of the work at the Industry Training Federation we're the most proud of. We've really stepped up in our involvement in the space through our partnership with TEC to manage and operate Skills Highway. And as somebody that spent most of my career in the sort of policy space looking around for silver bullets, of which there aren't any, there are bullets that are pretty effective. And kind of when you look around at, well, what is the thing that carries social and economic weight? If we dealt with one thing, how would it boost us? Or if we addressed barriers for these people, how would it kind of boost us all? It's pretty hard to go past adult literacy. And it's lovely to hear from William Thorne just now that we're coming fourth in literacy and 13th in numeracy, but rankings are not skills, and we still do know that 20% of our working population are at level 1 or below on the OECD rubric. So that's a challenge, and those people, we need to find them, we need to get to them, and we need to deliver quality programs that achieve the outcomes and that they are sustainable. Now, in many contexts, businesses say that literacy is an underlying issue, but many fewer businesses have got sort of active strategies to deal with it, or know that there is direct support available from the New Zealand government to support them to address it. Thankfully, that's not the case with the individuals who are sitting up on the stools. And it's our job, I think, to make sure that people are much more aware of what support is available. And as I said also, it is a national mission, and there are legs to that stool. Our industry training organisations are in touch with a lot of the firms and come into contact with a lot of the workers who either have low levels of literacy and so struggle with their further study or their work or their health and safety, or they're the sort of people who would be able to launch into the next kind of strata of their career if only they gained the kind of confidence that if we dealt with some literacy and numeracy ceilings we could really make progress on. So dealing to this, as I say, silver bullet is win, 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 right? We've all been like this, if we have our individual learner at the centre, it's the learner, the family, the community, the society. It's also the individual, the firm, the industry, the economy. So we are delighted to be involved as the Industry Training Federation, and also to connect up much better between the industry training organisations and the providers. And I think probably the thing I'm proudest of in our work with Skills Highway is that the employers that we're working with, the number one KPI in our workplace literacy contract is up to the employer. The employer sets it. It's about their business problem and whether or not the literacy intervention solved that problem. Brendan, we think that's moving the system towards outcomes. We're not counting the number of injections. We're asking the business, was the disease cured? And I think that's something that we really need to do more of in education. So look, that's enough from me. I'll save up all the rest for when we have a drink a little bit later on. It's my pleasure now to hand over to the first of our employer presentations. So they'll speak briefly and then we'll cover off at the end with a little bit of a back and forth discussion. So, Lance Warmington, Plant Manager, Silver Fern Farms of Dargaville. Thanks.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Silver Fern Farms is the largest meat exporting company in New Zealand. We employ around 7,000 people at the peak of the season, and we have about $2.4 billion worth of turnover. At the Dargaville plant, we've got approximately 300 staff that work all year round, basically on 2 shifts. Some time ago, we identified a problem within our business that there was repetitive claims, people not understanding processes, procedures. We did a root cause analysis, and as a result, we identified that numeracy and literacy was a great part of that reason why we were failing. Step into the scene, primary ITO, Sarah Searle. We're quite fortunate that at Dargaville, that's where Sarah lives, and we have a good relationship with her anyway. So we began to talk about our problem, and what we did, we went back and looked at, because we'd did the assessment, numeracy and literacy assessments, we actually did nothing with that data. And we found that when we analysed that data, 46% of our staff were below the competency level of level 3 or below. So it's needless to say why people couldn't read the labels that we're putting on our product, and we were getting shipping claims overseas. So we embarked on how we're going to solve this problem. We said, okay, is it the best approach to have classroom activities, but knowing full well that we would never get the engagement of our staff if we did that. So what we did is we encouraged mentors from within the workplace. We had a very good culture regardless. And what we did, we had about 16 mentors initially, and we trained them up to basically roll out a mentoring system within our plant. Ideally, it's a little bit difficult when you go out there and you've got a program that's all based around numeracy and literacy and trying to get that engagement. So how do you do that? So we named it Akoranga Māori Ora, which was learning for life. So our approach was about giving them the tools to learn through issues that they have in their life. So what we did is, with our mentors, we encouraged them to get out and bring those people to individual classroom activities. So one of the activities was around reading your payslip. We started off the basic fundamentals, learning how to read your payslip, learning how to budget, goal setting, and then from there, we basically extrapolated it out from there. You ask how does that relate into numeracy and literacy? Well, if people can't understand their payslip, how can they budget? How can they spend their money wisely? So we had our mentees bringing their family members into the sessions that we had in the classroom. Now, as with any of these programs, it's got to be a little bit fluid and it's got to mould as you go, because we didn't have any plan. We didn't know what direction or how long we were going to take to get down this road that we're going down. So it had to be moulded as we went. And initially it started off being led from myself down, from the top down, but then after a while we found we lost momentum. So we changed tact and we started getting the mentors to go out there and start developing it from the bottom up. And that's really when we started to get the traction big time. So each of these that we've got up here, we had a great audience at all of them. There was one of our mentors had a goal of buying a house in 10 years' time. Within 3 weeks of being teed up, not only being a mentor, but also with some of our external mentors as well, from bank manager, we managed to get her an approval for a home loan in 3 weeks. We got 2 people on my team that have got home loan approvals, and this is only 3 or 4 months down the track. We've had individuals that have had financial issues, that one was going to lose his house through a mortgagee sale. through mentoring with the bank manager and understanding the finances and budgeting, and they had to do the budget. The bank manager didn't do the budget for them. They were set with their mentors and basically trained to go through it, mentored through that exercise. They managed to keep their house and restructure their finances. We've had one guy that was dyslexic and didn't know what was wrong with him. He didn't know what the hell was wrong with him. He didn't know why he wasn't learning, why he wasn't advancing. Trouble at home. We screened him for dyslexia and we gave him the tools, and now he's not only achieved NCEA Level 1, but he's also signed up and he's halfway through his boning apprenticeship. So the productivity issues that we had with regards to yields, health and safety issues, lack of reporting, all of that, we've seen a great turnaround by using the mentors, because the mentors are within the departments, so they're easily accessible for the workforce. So it's 24-hour cover basically. We've got mentors going to mentees' houses in the weekend to help them through difficult situations or whatever they might need. So we've got a farmer that's volunteered. He's an external volunteer. We've got the program being run by Yvette Gilchrist, who's got the National Certificate in Adult Learning. She oversees the project the program with our training coordinator on site, and we meet mainly with the mentors weekly, and we train the mentors. From there, the mentors go out and help the mentees. Now, the mentors don't always have the right answers, so if they don't know, they come back to Yvette, and from there, we get the right answers for them. So we've had Nathan McHardy-Wallace. He's come and given the mentors a session on how the brain works to know how to communicate with our mentees. The NCA certificates and the presentation nights that we have, so we celebrate the successes with them. We've had a huge increase in the number of individuals that have gone for NZQA unit standards, and also a huge amount, at least 60, probably more, that have had the cross-crediting of NCEA. So when you sit in one of these presentations and you've got guys that you're handing them a certificate and it's the first certificate they've ever received in their life, becomes quite emotional for not only them but also for me, because that tells me that we've actually accomplished something. So it is the people that are the most valuable asset that we have in our organisation. I just want to play this little bit of an excerpt because it'll demonstrate. Can you just...
Hi, my name's Wiki and my real name's Whiteless. Didn't really do too good at school, and that's probably mainly because I'm quite dyslexic and I struggle to read and write, but through this program it's helped me out in so many ways. I ended up here at 19, been here going on 6 years, and I've done this program and I've actually managed to cross-credit stuff from school and do the program at the same time, and I've managed to get NCEA Level 1, which I never thought I'd ever accomplish, but I'm actually quite proud of myself for getting there. And I know it's not anything big, but to me it is. If it wasn't for Fern Farms and the support that they've given me, I probably would have never achieved that goal. I didn't actually think it was possible, to be honest, but now that I have done that, I've gotten the confidence to move forward, and I'm actually in a boning apprenticeship right now. So I've made my way through the chain, worked my way up. I've got 3 mentors that help me with reading, writing, and help me understand the task at hand. And so I actually think this program is really good for people that struggle to read and write. Most people don't actually like to admit that they struggle in those areas because they're embarrassed, but I think that's what helped me a lot, is because I'm not too embarrassed with what it is. It is what it is. And
hi, I'm Carmen. I work at Fern Farms. I'm quite passionate about the mentoring program. I've also had the privilege of helping people take their first steps in financial awareness, whether it's learning about finances, how to make better decisions with financing, buying homes, making their first steps. I've had the privilege of helping 2 people who have now got pre-approval to buy their own homes, and it's quite surprising how people at first were maybe a bit shy to ask for help who are now coming forward and openly asking. So that's one thing that I am really proud of with the mentoring program that we do have.
G'day, my name's Warren Clark, known as Power. I think it's a great scheme and it's really helping the people on site. I guess my first experience with it was with a guy who was dyslexic, fairly severely dyslexic. And I managed to get him through a set of unit standards. And because of those unit standards, he was presented with his NCEA Level 1. And the look on that guy's face when he sat down looking at his certificate was quite amazing.
Hello, my name is Melon. I'm a mentor and mentees at the same time. I don't know anything about housing. I don't know anything about budgeting. But this program, we do it every week. That we are multicultural workers. The whole idea is about life. But this program helping us to get a new life. Mental program for me, it's marvelous.
I must say the support from not only the mentors is probably what's kept this program going. So, and I was just saying to Sarah before when we got that video made the other day, I had one of my guys doing it for me, and he was in front of me, I was behind, and he was saying, "Is that fine?" I had tears rolling down my face because I was just so proud that we've actually done something positive for our workforce. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. It just about made me cry too. My name's Kate, and I'm the Union Development Manager, or People Development Manager at Holt, Harvey. We are a wood processing and sawmilling company. Most of you may have heard the name, but we're a lot smaller than we used to be. And my portfolio is about 1,400 people. So that's sawmills and engineered wood products from Whangarei in the north through to Nelson in the south. And I'm really fortunate that I can say thank you to the TEC for the 3 years that they've already invested in us and have that belief in us as a business, and particularly for our workers out there whose lives have been touched by the work that they've actually been able to do. We started on this process because I came into the company in a completely greenfields position, and they hadn't had someone like me before, and I'm kind of one of those people that I don't come through the HR stream, I actually report in through to the operations manager. So it's a very different way from having to get everything past an HR team, and I do my own thing. I report to a guy that believes in me and trusts me. So I came in myself having NCAL a number of years ago with Graham Smith in another company, and I could see what was happening out there in our workforce, where there were people that were just limping along. And when you look at young people out there, you want them, and you remember when you were young, you wanted to be successful, you wanted to do something. And I saw a lot of young people that we had a lot of incomplete paperwork. We had high absenteeism. We also had people getting hurt. And in a sawmill, when you get hurt, you can lose fingers, you can lose thumbs. We had someone lose a leg 5 years ago. So our industry needed to actually look at what were the things we were putting in front of our people and what we're expecting them to do. So my first role was to have a look at how do I sell this in this privately owned company when building wasn't the boom that it is right now, and get them to believe around we could make this work, but it's going to cost us a lot of money. Hence the partnership with the Tertiary Education Commission. But as a business, it's also cost us, because besides our first level that we did was cutting edge operators, and those were the people that are operating heavy machinery in a sawmill, which is dirty, it's dusty, it's cold in the winter and it's hot in the summer. There's things flying around, you're covered in PPE gear and you can't hear a thing. So there's a lot of things that for us, that starting with the operators program, got those entry-level people. 3 years later, some of those entry-level people are able to do a level 2 wood manufacturing qualification, which we hadn't done before. Then we had to look at what is the next level up, because we had that push from the ground for the operators. So what were we doing for the supervisors? So we put together the Cutting Edge Supervisors program, which we called the Leaders, because here we had this groundswell starting to come up with the training that we were doing, and we had supervisors that had nothing, and some of their literacy levels were actually lower than the operators. Then, so I worked kind of from the bottom up. Then we had to have a look as a company, what did we do for our managers that we needed to invest in? Because all of a sudden we had people from the shop floor who were actually starting to climb and get, a lot of proficiencies. So we put together a managers program as well that we funded, and has run out to all of the sites, the 6 sites, and that has been basically for me the biggest buy-in that I could get, is to get those managers engaged and doing some learning and showing them what our people were learning. For them, we did about 16 hours when you compare it to the 40 hours that our other learners were doing. I've had some stories that have made me cry, that have touched the hearts of the sales team, the CEO, people that have, when they've done their 40 hours, we have a beautiful little graduation to mark their learning, what they have given, and also what they've got out of the program. And those are the things where I'm there with the site manager and the lead team, and you can't help but shed a bit of a tear when people talk about what it means to them at home. Reading with your mokupunas, and then going to school interviews that you've never gone to before because you were too embarrassed. We asked people to do challenges, a 30-day challenge for work and a 30-day challenge for home. People give up things like energy drinks, save the money to buy a new couch. They start little fitness regimes. I saw a boy down in Nelson a couple of weeks ago that I hadn't seen for a while, who worked in dispatch, drives a forklift, 45 hours a week. When I first met him, he was severely obese, and he did the Cutting Edge program in the first year. I saw him 2 weeks ago, and he's 60 kilos lighter. And what he did was he used those 30 days every 30 days, and he redid it. Now, he was completely transformed, and I thought he was, he's handsome now. It was like, wow, you're cute. I felt like a cougar, actually. But completely transformed. Sorry, I say something I shouldn't have. So I've found it touching. I've sent the emails on to people in my organisation that don't get to our graduations. I wish everybody could see what I see. And some of that is the potential in the people. Some people have never had anyone that believed in them. Young people, particularly at Whangarei, a young guy with Tourette's, taking him into the workplace at 18, and he'd never worked anywhere before. Had very, very low skill level because his parents kept him at home. And to get him into a program like Cutting Edge Operators and do 40 hours of concentrated literacy and life skills. And also that the crossover for us is a business. Higher uptake around our paperwork, because these guys don't come into the wood industry to fill out paperwork, just like pilots don't go into the airline industry to fill out all that paperwork before they fly. These guys, wood is sexy, and, I think it is, because I know a lot about it now, and also the fact that, we build dreams for people. And when you see a young boy out there working on a big machine centre, and everybody else is accepting him with his disabilities and the Tourette's, and you see him in the classroom being nurtured and cared for and kept pace with his learning. So I've got a lot of success stories I could tell that touch your heart. I didn't want to cry at the front of the room today, so I'm not going to tell them all, but for people it's been more than what it is to us at work. For us, the retention has improved, and in some areas it's had societal changes as well. When you think about some of the places that we have mills in Tokoroa, kaurau, whangarei, where we also have issues in society with drugs. And if we can help educate some of those young people to make better choices as well by attending our workplace programs, then I think we've been successful. And hopefully we will keep going with the funding, because I want to make it worthwhile for all of the young people coming into our industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. I'm hopeful that my presentation will bring together a lot of what you've heard today, probably on a more strategic level. And a lot of that is just looking at the numbers of people that are involved in this literacy issue and how we're going to have to deal with them. Now, those figures up there, the 17,000 that have skimmed past pretty quick, that's going to grow to 19,000 by the end of this month, and we'll have close on 4,000 employees. But I'd just like to just dwell on these figures. Could we go back to that one, please? Somebody's clicking for me. For the sake of the OECD people, we've got people starting their careers at 60 and 65 and staying on for quite some time, as you can see. Can we just go back to that, please? They keep moving off the screen. So what I wanted to point out here is that 32% of our workforce is over 60. So when we say we've got an ageing population, we've got an ageing workforce that's going to carry on ageing. And, our oldest employee was born in 1929, and she's still doing 20 hours a week. So I think, there's a lot of opportunities out there. Is it on auto? Can I stop it there?
Forward and back.
Right, I'll take control. So just to give you an idea, the groups of people we've had in the literacy program have been from 24 to 64 years old. Can I stop it? No. Okay. And probably overrepresented because we had 3 males compared to the rest of our workforce, which is only 5% of our total workforce. But it's giving you a bit of an idea of the size of what's out there. Is it a hold or a stop?
No, you won't be able to stop it. Just go.
Can I stop it? Oh, it's gone. Can we get it back?
Just
Sorry about
hold
that.
on it. Just give them a second. It's auto set up.
It's auto set up? Okay, so the program we ran was put together in collaboration with Waikato, and from that we were able to come up with a process that linked to all our internal documentation and look at how in the past when I've run these programs we've done it looking to end up with a qualification at the end, and this time we actually looked at what was required in the workplace. Now, working in the sector, as I said in those earlier slides, people are becoming far more, the clients, the people out there, their health is deteriorating rapidly. 10 years ago, hardly any medications were done at home. Now 90% of the clients have medications. So when we talk about literacy and numeracy with people, we're talking about pill dosage rates, when you have to take a pill, timeliness. If I'm putting a cream on, how much cream do I need to put on? So we're taking an entry-level person, as we know from our statistics, that 1/3 of our people are less than 3s on the literacy and numeracy, and we're asking them to read a package, work out how many micrograms are in each tablet and make sure they're giving the person the right tablet at the right time and putting it in the right place. But first of all, they've turned up at the right house to give it to the right person. Because if I can't read the address and work that out, that's one of the big problems. GPS won't tell me how to do it. So that was one of our big learnings, was how to instill that understanding of timeliness, correctness, all of those things that are critical when you start giving people medications. So because of TEC's generosity and the end of the financial year, it was contracted into a 12-week program. And this has actually worked really well for us because the employer had to engage, we had to get people on, we paid them, we made it mandatory, and we did it all in face-to-face or mentoring sessions. So there was a lot of high pressure on it. And what we did was we chose participants who were already working. So we've got about the newbies. We said, you just need to learn your job. What we did was take a group of people, a lot of them working with complex clients, and said, we want you to come along because we want you to step up. You need to be a level 3 on the NQF, possibly even level 4. We're going to ask you to do things that enrolled nurses were doing 10 years ago. So we've got you in a house looking at dressings, changing stockings, giving out tablets, because they're not allowed to dispense, because that's what a nurse does. We're allowed to observe and support, but if you've got arthritis and you can't open the blister pack, I'm allowed to help you to open that blister pack, but I can't let you take the tablets, because then I'd be administering, and that would be in breach. So, little things. But you can see these are the things that were the problem. These were highly skilled people working with multiple clients, and yet low self-esteem. Often English is a second language. The nurse knows what she's doing. I don't really know what I'm doing, even though I shower that person every day and I look after them and I check their body that everything's okay. So that doubting of their own ability was a big issue for us. And they weren't particularly good time managers. So from the employer's perspective, these people are doing their job. There's no health and safety issues, there's been no problems, there's been no accidents, incidents or anything. Why should I invest in upskilling them? And that's where we've come in. And the biggest thing we could have, you've got to have a prop when you do a show, is one of these. So we stopped calling it a literacy program and we called it a communication program, because it was all about how you communicate with your clients, how you communicate with your employer, how you communicate with each other. And then we got really good engagement, because it wasn't about literacy. It was about them understanding where their skills were and how to build it up. Probably the last one there, that's the one that frightens me the most, that on Friday the hospitals empty out and at 4 o'clock we start getting phone calls saying these people are going home for the weekend, we need a support worker to see them at 8 o'clock tonight to give them a shower and put them in bed. So we've shifted the problem from one person to another, but here we go. So the outcomes were great. They were huge. For 12 weeks, LNET moved a bit, but I went to them on day one. We had all these people in the room. Half of them couldn't even stand up and introduce themselves. They couldn't, it was too much of a stretch to say who they were and what they did. On the last day, they all stood up and gave a 5-minute presentation about a topic of their choice, which was filmed. And if I think you can take somebody from there to there in 12 weeks, it's got to be credit to everybody involved and the type of program. Our business outcomes have gone up, timeliness have gone up. These people need to be able to collect all their information over email, no paper timesheets. They have to ring in when they get to a client's house. We know how long they're there, we know where they've gone. They're also GPS'd, we know where they're travelling to, and we know how far they've gone. So we're watching them every minute of the day, because that's what the DHB says we have to do to cut our costs. And that's how the business runs. And how do you engage with somebody with low literacy and say this is an entry-level job and say they are your minimum requirements to walk in the door? So they're the challenges for us. And these people, the average age of our employees, 58. How long can I invest in them? How many years am I going to get out of them? You know, that's the maths. I'm 61 years old. Are you going to work to 71 for me so I can get 10 years back on my investment? That's the challenge. So the business outcomes are all there, you can see those. And these are what we've learnt. And to me, that collaboration and that last bullet point gives you a rough size of the problem. So there's 3 main providers, the HHL group, IHC and Access Homehealth, 18 to 20,000 employees between them. We have a 25% turnover, so it's over 3,000 employees a year coming in. 1,000 of those have literacy problems. Forget about the 18,000 we've already got. So somebody needs to step up here and actually own it. Thank you for your time.
wait for my slide to come up, but kia ora tātou, my name's Alkema and I work as the Research and Evaluation Manager for the Skills Highway. My role, or the role of research there, is to provide an evidence base that this stuff actually works, to showcase good practice, and to tell the stories for employers, providers, and policymakers. And like any good researchers, you must have robust sample sizes. So I'm here to talk about some robust sample sizes. So my sample of 1 here. This is just a little place I visited in Timaru earlier on this year, a fish processing place, and because this is an employers forum, I thought I'd use what the employers' words were. And this is what the manager of the plant said after he saw the teams present their research projects. And they presented research projects on health and safety and communications, and including redesigning incident report forms. And they said that the difference that it had made to how people were now reporting made a huge difference. They'd tried things for years, hadn't worked, and yet the workers had the solution. The key thing for this one was around participation, problem solving and engagement in the workplace. And when I interviewed the learners the next day, that was exactly the sort of thing that they gave back to me. The next sample of 1, DB Breweries, they worked really hard. They'd introduced what's called Kaizen problem solving, and it's an incredibly complex approach to problem solving. And they realised when they started that there were some real challenges in getting the workers to understand what was actually happening. Went through the course, and again, as with the Sanford's case, people were coming up with their own solutions. So we're not just seeing literacy and numeracy about being that let's solve a few problems and getting people to read and write better. What we're actually seeing is people participate more fully and more actively in workplace, and also having employers recognise that their workers can actually perform things that they didn't otherwise know. Slightly more robust sample now. I went through 30 employer-led reports, and this is what the employers actually said, that you've got improved efficiencies in the workplace, improved confidence, and you all know about that, seeing better engagement and participation, which leads to a more positive workplace culture. And I get a sense that for a lot of employers, that more positive workplace culture is actually a really important part, people actually being happier going to work. However, we've still got some issues. There is still, with some of the employers, an inability to talk about the extent to which there have been productivity gains. And I think one of the issues there is actually what are we going to measure as a result of this? So we need a few more discussions about that at the start of programs. We have got employers talking about gains in literacy and numeracy, but we can't gauge the exact extent of them because of the way that people are reporting on those. So we need to probably have a little fix-up around that. And one of the things when you engage with an employer-led program is to work to some sort of sustainability, but there's still some things around there about how do we build sustainability based on the fact that we've just had a 40-hour program. So what is it we're going to do? And because I do not want to stand between women and their wine, I'll skip over the next one, and hopefully I'm going to get coming up a little one that tells the story. Oh, did I just stop it? Oh, can you get that back for me, please?
As the health sector moves towards health outcomes, we need to be communicating with the clients so much better, and also recording it and capturing that outcome. English was a second language to 90% of our workforce, so we realised that numeracy literacy was the way forward in terms of our communication language.
I'm now looking forward to go to MIT to study more about the English as long as I talk and communicate with the people in my environment. That's enough. But now this course, it gives me the courage to go furthermore, because it seems like, I like the English language.
This program pathway, it's really good. It's really helpful. It's like a wake-up call for me. So what's your plan, when you finish here? So to me, my plan, I want to be a nurse. Nurse is the best home, especially helping old people and sick people.
I think it is the selecting the right communicator, really, company. And I think we went outside of our normal sphere as a non-for-profit. We engage with a a private company basically that had expertise in that area. It's a great workforce. It's multilingual, multi-talented. It participates better than it's ever had.
The program has now has created essentially a workforce which is able to share with each other, work effectively together, and essentially benefit the clients at home and the community that Pacific Home Care are here to serve, because really that's what Pacific Home Care is all about, is supporting their community, and they've now got a workforce which is much more equipped to be able to do that.
So I think you can see, and you've heard these three employers here talk about it, and we know that, but what we've got to continue to do, I think from my perspective, is build an evidence base. We heard the Minister talking this morning that he knows it works, but we have to continue telling that story and actually trying to get to some of the really hard stuff as well. Not just the, yes, we've built confidence and we've done self-esteem. I mean, that's great, that's part of the whole package, but we really need to be able to get to some of those harder things, and that's kind of where we're at the moment. So that's it from me. Thank you.
And look at that, we've timed it perfectly so we don't have to answer any questions, but I think we will all be staying for a wine too. So if you've heard something and you would like, and it sparked off a conversation or a question in your head, then do tackle any one of us in the next session, in between the long speeches. I'll hand over to Janet to close off with a little bit of housekeeping and ending your day. I know it's been a long day. Thank you very much. I've certainly enjoyed it. Just a final comment in terms of our work on Skills Highway. It was really great earlier this afternoon to hear Bonnie from Comfort and Quality Hotel in her session with Service IQ, just talking about the fact that these programs are often pretty technical. In the education land, we're pretty good at coming up with really technical things and pretty technical language. We're really keen, as part of our work through industry training organisations and through working with lots of quality providers, to make this as easy as possible for business. It is about solving their problem in the interests of the people that we're all trying to make a difference for. So I'll leave it with that, and thanks very much. Cheers.